Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the northeast part of Texas, southeast part of Texas, northwest part of Louisiana, northwest part of Louisiana, northwest, what should I say? Southwest part of Louisiana. What's wrong with my mind this morning? Anyway, folks, good morning to every nook and cranny with the ability to receive those signals from our 100,000 watt transmitter. Good morning to the world who, through the magic of the internet, formerly known as ARPANET, that gets our information to every part of the world. Folks, it's amazing what your tax dollars can do. It's amazing what we can do when we work together as a collective. It's amazing what we can do when we don't allow those that want to profit from us to separate us, to fight against each other so that things don't work the way they should. But we won't allow that. But you know, right now it's time to hear the statement from Jack, because Jack, doing that great work in the studio, will let us know what's up. ¿Qué pasó, Jack?
Good morning, Egberto. Sorry, listeners, if we sound like we're in a barrel, which it does kind of sound like that right now. We'll get that straightened out. As Howard would say, welcome, British Columbia, Whistler, the town of Whistler. I got that one backwards. Okay. All right. My word for the day is mainstream media speaketh with corporate tongue as they permit Trump to continue to lie to the citizens without fact-checking him in real time. How can you tell if Trump is lying? His lips are moving.
That is perfect. Is that it, my brother? Is that it? How can you tell Trump is lying? His lips are moving?
Yeah, that's it.
Let me tell you something. It is so funny because what gets me is for those who continue to worship the guy, they're smart. They ought to know he's lying. What within their psyche, however, would have them put the nuclear codes, put the health of the nation into someone whose words you simply cannot believe at any time whatsoever. Jack, it behooves me that we've reached this part because of prejudice and other reasons in our country, why we'll try to overlook those things and make probably likely the most incompetent person that has ever attempted to be president become president again. It just behooves
me. Puzzles me too.
Yeah, but anyhow, let's go ahead and get busy with the program. I don't know, but here's the thing, folks. Here's the thing. The title of the show today is O'Donnell calls out the news media Arizona mayor endorses, Arizona Republican mayor endorses Kamala Harris. We have to remember that Jeff Duncan, the former lieutenant governor of Georgia, also endorsed the Kamala Harris campaign. And we have Republicans coming out of the weeds now endorsing the campaign. They are putting, in fact, country over party, reality over fiction, love over hate. And to those leaders from the Republican Party who are doing that, I can only say you are doing the American thing. You are making sure that we're not run by a charlatan. You're making sure that after all, we don't die as a country. And I don't say that lightly. Many of the people who support Donald Trump, and I don't say this to be disrespectful or it's relatively insular, they don't see or they either don't see or don't care how we're perceived around the rest of the world. And the rest of the world are scared with reason that we could devolve into Trump presidency again, and with all the damage that it would do to the world. Again, when you're the leader of the world, what you do matter. I don't know. Some people say, well, who gave you the authority to be leader of the world? Well, our strength made us the leader. The amount of stuff that we have the power to do around the world makes us the leader. How did we get there? Well, that's a different story, but we are the leader of the world, and people do look up to us. And the thing about it is, a Trump presidency, the first time, folks look at as, well, America made a mistake. Every country is due one. Every country is due a mulligan. If we were to do it again, it shows something systemic in America. And that would be the demise of our leadership. Because at that point, countries of the world start looking for alternatives. And I'm not saying alternative countries, but what we would be looking at are alternative alliances. There would be no BRIC. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and about 13 other countries that are trying now to establish a new not economic system, but a new financial management system. If America remained strong, if there was if the decline that we've seen in America people like to blame Trump alone. It's not just Trump. The decline started from the contract on America. Don't know if you guys remember that document from the former House leader. Can't remember his name right now. But it started with the contract on America. When we started to have policies, there's a time that you had Republican policies and Democratic policies, and they weren't the same, but they were based on at least a philosophy that made mathematical sense. Wanting small government is a thing. I don't like the idea of just saying we want small government, low taxes, because what it meant is you had a less involved government, and in having a less involved government, there are certain social services, certain things for social well-being that wouldn't be there. It is expected that you lift yourself up on your own. If you can't make it, either charity takes care of helping you out or you die. That's the theory behind small government, rugged individualism. Then there is, of course, what we have, which is right-sized government, a strong government, a government that can be strong, that must be stronger than the largest corporation, the largest conglomerate of corporations. And why is that? Because the government is the will of the people. The corporation is the will of the individuals that govern, that own that corporation. And they have diametrically opposed interests. A corporation's interest within a capitalist society is best stated. Thank you for that, Jack. Project for a New American Society. It's the corporation's sole responsibility is not to the shareholder, or rather, it's not to the employee, it's not to the country, it's not to the people. It is solely to the shareholders and the executives. And as the god of new capitalism stated, Milton Friedman, they have no responsibility to employees. They have no responsibility to climate change. They have no responsibility to environment. Their sole responsibility is to make a buck for the shareholder. And, Milton Friedman says the other things are the purview of somebody else, meaning the government. Under that scenario, then, it is incumbent that the government be strong and the government have strong regulations to prevent that entity whose sole purpose, whose sole responsibility is to themselves to protect us all. That's the purpose of government. And that requires right-sized government. You want to know what it looks like when government doesn't do its job? Love Canal, the polluted Ohio River, pollution throughout beaches that you can't swim in, food that you can't eat, polluted groundwater because oil wells are not regulated and they're dumping oil from one strata into the water table. And as long as you don't have strong government to prevent these things from occurring, then the old Republican mantra of small government makes sense. Then that makes sense. I am not for that. I'm for a very strong government, free enterprise, which means you want to have your pizza shop, have at it. You want to have a grocery store, have at it. You want to invent automobiles, go have at it. Do all these things on your own. That's perfect. But do it so that it harms no one. And how do we ensure it harms no one? Regulations by we, the people. It's not difficult. It's hard. It's not hard to see this. The problem is that we've had a concerted effort over the decades with the advent of think tanks like the Heritage Foundation, the same people who came up with Project 2025, to fool you into believing that government, the right-sized government, is bad for you, and that somehow the private sector can do it better. And to accept that, you have to forget math. You have to forget the thinking process. Let's give a classic example in healthcare. They want you to believe that, first of all, by the way, insurance companies don't give healthcare. I'm off on a tangent from what the show is about, but I started here and I really want to get this out because it's apropos. They want to make you believe that insurance companies, health insurance companies, are a good thing. And that somehow having a whole lot of health insurance companies are a good thing for you. It gives you choices. No, that's not true at all. It gives you choices. It gives you a choice to make, to choose what bad choice you want to make. I repeat, it gives you a choice to make what bad choice you have to make. As an example, whenever you have health insurance, there are, and each health insurance company has a board of directors, presidents, lawyers, database management software, advertising costs, a whole lot of costs in having a private health insurance company. And if you have one, that cost is only one time. But if you have hundreds of health insurance companies to choose from, well, all those costs of having a president and executive committee, having advertising to fight each other to see who's going to win over the customer costs money. And all that money that it costs to have those insurance companies go into the premium you pay for insurance. So that it costs more to have a lot of insurance companies as opposed to having one person that aggregates all of our money and then pays a bill. Because ultimately, that's all. Yes, I will take those calls. I will take the phone calls. Now, here is the thing, folks. Here's the thing. The only option that works, again, this isn't for having a pizza shop. We want a variety of pizza shops. We want a variety of stores selling stuff. We want a variety of people inventing things. We want that. But there are certain services that make no sense. Health insurance is one of them. And we have been programmed into believing that private health insurance makes sense, as if they do a service. They provide no services. They filter services. People say, well, insurance companies do something special. Okay, what do they do again? They manage risk. What risk? Well, how much you pay for healthcare or whatever. Why do we need 1,000 insurance companies to measure risk? When we have one risk, the health of the American population. And if we have one person that collects money from the entire population and then says those that are unlucky to get sick, that are unlucky and get sick, their bill is paid by this one entity, we forego all the incidental costs, paying for 100 different presidents of companies. Paying for all these things are mitigated. But we have been taught to believe fallacies. We've been taught to forget math. But I'll go ahead and take a call, and then we'll move on. Bart, come on in, my brother. Talk to me.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Egberto. You are on echo mode this morning.
I know. We have to figure out what's going on. I mean, we had some issues with the system, so we'll try to get better at some time. How you doing, Bart?
I'm good. I'll keep it short and sweet in. Really happy about the Olympics. I don't know if everyone heard on the women's box, had a guy win the gold medal. A woman won silver, but a man won bronze. So we had two men win the women's boxing. So that was really cool. What do you think about that?
Well, I can't help it that you choose to be ill-informed. I can't look. I mean, the right has been putting that out on all its media. We have the documents that prove that what you're saying is not true, but I am not going to convince you otherwise. But it's pointless for me to tell you that, because you've chosen to believe what you've been told by the right wing. These are not trans at all. These are women. But continue.
No, Egberto, there's no media coverage at all. It was all covered up. It's all been kept very quiet. That's why I wanted to come on your show and announce it.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's amazing that you are sitting down here in Houston, right? You're in Houston. Your only evidence is what person A tells you or what person B tells you. That's your only evidence. You have not seen material. You have seen absolutely nothing. So all we have is the trust that we have in the sources of information where we're getting it. Your source, the source that you happen to believe, says that these are men who won in the women's race. I mean, in the women's boxing match. That's what your source tells you. And you believe in those sources. My source tells me that these were women. Okay. Now, my source, I would claim, is much more credible than your source, but you believe your source. We're not going to get anywhere at all because, again, there's nothing that I can tell you to have you disbelieve your source. You don't know that. You didn't test these people's blood. You didn't test anything. You're just dependent on your source. Am I correct?
Well, I guess I should believe what my lying eyes are telling me.
Well, no. Again, I don't know what your lying eyes are telling you, but I saw two women boxing. But your lying eyes, based on how you were influenced, may have told you something else. Again, people can fall for suggestions. We know that. So what can I say? There's no point. And I don't know what is your big. And I'm curious. Why is this such an issue with you? It's amazing because the right wing started to make trans an issue, and suddenly all the people that follow the right wing are in a trance. They're completely onto this subject now. Something that has such little amount of, that is so, it just amazes me how you guys walk in lockstep. That's all.
Well, it's an issue because the left wing media covers it up. That's why it's an issue. That's the only reason.
Okay, well, no problem. Bart, I appreciate your calling, my brother. You have a very good day. And try to think about something positive. Try to think about something that's going to move us forward. Have a wonderful day, my brother. All right, look. It amuses me that so many people will, that is one thing the right has been good at, right? They get you to focus on something that gets you all upset, but it has no value as far as making your life better. It won't increase your pay. It won't increase your health care. It won't increase any of those things. But somehow it matters. They make sure that it matters to you. I think to some extent, a lot of folks on the right should feel like suckers because while they have you worried about things like trans and LGBTQ and books in school and all that kind of stuff, they're ripping you off left and right. They're making you less smart. They're taking away your intellect. It is very disconcerting. But hey, to each his own. But let's get back to the healthcare issue that I was talking about. And that is, there is no reason for private health insurance, right? Because they don't provide a service. They don't make you healthier. All they do is apportion and control who you're going to see, what doctors you can see, what medicines you can use. I remember when Obamacare was coming into fruition, people was like, we don't want Obamacare. We want to have our choice of insurance companies. We want to have our choice. So instead of Obamacare becoming Medicare for all, a one-payer system, they decided to institute a whole bunch of insurance companies on this marketplace. And on this marketplace, you have the choice of insurance, either the bad or the worst. But of course, it's all cloaked in something that looks good. They make it look good. But ultimately speaking, what they were or what they are is the thing that you were so scared about the government about. You succumb to it by wanting to have private healthcare insurance, not private healthcare insurance. It's amazing because they tell you what to do. They tell you what medicines you can take, what doctor you can see. But you made that choice. You made the choice to determine who was going to be your master. You made the choice to determine who you were going to be a slave to. Aetna? Nah. Blue Cross? Nah. I'll be a slave to Cigna. Okay. Donald, come on in.
Good morning, Egberto. We're all aboard your spaceship.
How you doing, brother?
Good. I was thinking about you this weekend. We borrowed a buddy's crane and we were setting a building and doing a bunch of work. And that's the problem. See, we've got one ticket that has used the system but never created anything. And the other guys, they've kind of created something, but at least they did it.
I love that. And you know what? You are so right. And but you know what? I don't know if you understand, my brother, how correct you are. I don't know if you get how correct you are. You know, when you go to the bus stop every morning, or well, you probably don't go to the bus stop. You probably ride a Cadillac every day, or a BMW every day, or whatever. But when you go and you see a bus stop, or you look at the freeways every morning, and you see all those people on that freeway going to work, those are the people that are doing stuff in our economy. Those are the people that are making things. Those are the people that are inventing things. You know who are the people that are not doing much, Donald? The billionaires and the ultra millionaires that are sitting down in those top offices in Houston, in Dallas, in LA, in New York, those that are moving stocks around, etc. They produce and they can generally do nothing. Yet they're the most revered and make the most money in our economy. Think about that.
Exactly, Egberto. We don't hold the people up that are actually doing the work. We think of them as horrible.
Exactly. And I hope you notice that my program, that's who I uphold, the working class, the people that actually make things happen, the people that invent things, not those people that like Trump and others. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, now, Trump, you might not like him, but he did build something. It might not have been good, but he built it at least.
We'll have to talk about that another day, Donald, but that's all right. We'll talk about that another day. Let's see. We'll go ahead and talk another. Hey, but I got to go to Rad, Donald, but as usual, you always have something insightful to say, my brother.
Yes, sir. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right, let's go to Rad. Come on in, Rad. Okay, I don't hear Rad, so let's wait till that gets fixed. And while that is getting fixed, we're having a little bit of technical problems today, folks. So what we'll do is we'll keep on keeping on. You know, the show must go on, and we must continue to talk. But anyway, again, if anybody wants to go ahead and give me a call about insurance, if they disagree that the purpose of health insurance, that there's no purpose for private health insurance. In fact, it's socialism for the corporation. Give me a call, 713-526-5738. In the interim, I have a piece to play for you from the governor, or rather mayor of Mesa, Arizona. Well, actually, it looks like that one didn't make it over. Let me see if that. For some reason, that one didn't come over, and we need to find out exactly why. Because I really wanted you guys to hear that one about Mesa, Arizona. So I am going to look at my map and see if I have Mesa, Arizona mapped into the system, which I do. But evidently, since we have these particular issues, you were not able to hear it. That's okay. We'll keep on keeping on. Anyway, folks, let's talk about Tim Walz now. J.D. Vance has been out there disparaging Tim Walz. And the reason he's disparaging Tim Walz is for something that Tim Walz said. And let me repeat that specifically in verbatim what Tim Walz said in one of the stand-up speeches or that he was given in 2018. He said the following: "We can make sure that all weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place those weapons are at." And, the one phrase that they are complaining about is that he said, that he carried in war. Well, he carried a weapon during war times, etc., etc., etc. But I mean, he wasn't trying to embellish a record or whatever. He was simply trying to say what all of us say. These weapons like AR-15s, etc., do not belong in the hands of 18-year-olds and 20-year-olds. It doesn't belong in any of our hands if we're not at war. He worked with it when he was at war and when he worked during war. So they make a big issue out of that, right? Oh, he lied, something valor. He's trying, they try to do what we call the swift boating of Tim Walz. And I'm going to talk about this today, and I'm not going to talk about it again because it needs no traction. But I'm going to tell you something. Tim Walz served in the military for 24 years. I repeat, 24 years. J.D. Vance served 4 years. Look, you don't have to serve to be president or vice president. Kamala Harris did serve. Donald Trump, got out of it by saying he had bone spurs. He lied about having bone spurs. And that's how he made himself not go to the Vietnam War. And moreover, Donald Trump told his kids if they joined the military, he would disinherit them. He also said people who serve were stupid. That's Donald Trump. Now, do you think it makes sense for Donald Trump and these guys to come after Tim Walz, who served 24 years, while J.D. Vance served 4? Do you think it makes sense? Well, that's what swift boating is all about. Taking your strength and turning it into a liability. Well, they could do that when we didn't understand the concept of swift boating. They could do that when we were caught off guard. Well, this time we're not caught off guard. So I can, yesterday, Bruce sent me a comparison of J.D. Vance's and Tim Walz's record. And Tim Walz's superior decorated record as a military person is second to none. Training people going into war, training with our artillery, so much so that he damages airs. He was in war. Anybody who served during wartime and is in the military is in war. Oh, they claim, well, he jumped out of serving when he realized he was going to be deployed. Huh? Come on, man. The guy served for 24 years. He was running for Congress. He decided to go ahead and run. Look, don't buy into the fallacy. A lot of the right are trying to find things about this guy. But let me tell you who he is. The military issue is dead. Don't allow that to take up any of your airtime. I'm talking about it today just to tell you, J.D. Vance served 4 years. He served 24 years. Tim Walz did. J.D. Vance accomplished very little. He was pretty much let me read what it said. J.D. Vance, after high school, Vance joined the U.S. Marine, where he served from 2003 to 2007 as a combat correspondent in a non-combative role, including 6 months deployed in the Public Affairs Department in Iraq. He attended Ohio State afterwards, graduated in 2009. Then he went to Yale Law School. Then he wrote the Hillbilly Elegy, where he disparaged his own. That's who J.D. Vance is. But you know who Tim Walz is? Tim Walz was a guy who served from he was young. Served in Arkansas, Texas, Arctic Circle, New Ulm, Minnesota, Italy. He trained folks in heavy artillery. And then when he got back, he served with the Veterans Affairs to make sure that veterans got their due. In other words, he came back and did what? He served. He taught school. The most important profession in the world, teachers and farmers. That's what he did. Let nobody disparage this man, lest you be disparaged. Augie, come on and let's see if it's working now. Augie, let's see if it's working. Can you hear me, Augie?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, talk to me, my brother.
I hear you. Yeah, I was thinking about the transgender thing and the boxing. Remember, growing up, there was a girl that played with us guys. She was a redhead, and she was a tomboy. And I remember one morning, I saw my friends running across the street, like, hollered for help. And I guess it pissed off the redhead, and she was going after them. She was chasing a bunch of boys, because boys were afraid of that girl. And when I was in the military, I played on a base volleyball team, and went into a military intramural volleyball tournament with the Marines, the Air Force, the Army. And the Navy was left out because their team was in San Diego and the fleet went out of maneuvers. But the only team that had a woman on it was the Marines. And she was tough. I think she could beat up any one of us guys on the Air Force team. And we were lucky we played that tournament. We beat the Marines. And I told the guys, they better leave it before they beat us up. But anyway.
That is funny. It is amazing because you're so right? I mean, there are a lot of women that are, they don't fit the profile that we have as women. They're strong as hell, and they work at it. They do what they need to do. So, I mean, what I find, Augie, is the amount of time that is spent on issues like this. Instead of healthcare, instead of family leave, and all these things, you're gonna spend your time on whether a boxer was a man or a woman. I mean, it's ridiculous. Anyway, anything else, Augie, before I get to Bill Crozier?
Yeah, about healthcare. I have Republican friends saying, we don't pay money out of, our own money for these Medicare insurance companies. Yeah, we do. It comes out of our Social Security. And I just called my insurance company, but too bad I'm on one of these Medicare groups, asked the rep, and she wasn't even in America. She was in Central America. So these reps are foreigners that were calling for help with our Medicare plan here in America. But anyway, I tried to ask her, how much money am I paying for my Medicare plan? And she was confused because her English wasn't that great. But finally, I got her to understand what I wanted. And she told me I'm paying $174.20 out of my Social Security for that insurance company. So when Republicans saying, I'm not paying anything, I'm getting all these great things for free. No, you're not. You're paying for it every month.
Absolutely. Anyway, Augie, look, thank you, brother. I mean, we're going to talk about that a lot more because, I had one of our callers sent me an email a couple of days ago. His wife is about to get insurance, and he wanted me to give the reasons why Medicare Advantage is not the answer. And we went through the whole thing, and I'm going to be talking about that a lot. I'm going to stop letting these people snow people. But anyway, thank you, Augie. Let me get to Brother Crozier, okay? All right. Good morning, Bill. Bill Crozier, how you doing this morning?
Great, Egberto, and it's good to hear you, even if we're in the bottom of a well, it sounds like. Anyway.
I know. They're having problems with one of the servers in the studios, but we'll get that fixed sometime.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm glad you're talking about the little point some of the Republicans were trying to make about something Tim Walz said. Instead of talking about what they can do or might do, I'm talking about Trump and Walz, of course, it's all about finding some little nitpicky thing and blowing it up out of proportion, whether it's a valid complaint or not, regarding Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. But actually, I want to talk about something else just briefly, if I could change the subject.
Please do.
Okay, I'm the president of the Houston Peace and Justice Center, and HPJC is having a free networking social brunch this Saturday for representatives of local nonprofits. And we want to invite, one or two representatives from any nonprofit in the area that would like to come and, besides having a free brunch, have a few minutes to tell everybody there about what they're doing, what their organization's about, upcoming activities, things like that. And you can also have some table space for displays or pass-out literature. It's going to be in the Montrose area starting at 10 a.m. this Saturday. And I'm not going to give you the exact place yet because we want people to RSVP so we can get a head count. So you can RSVP or ask questions by emailing director@hpjc.org. That's for the Houston Peace and Justice Center. director@hpjc.org.
Folks, this is an important event. I mean, where people get a chance to network among nonprofits. They can learn ways to collaborate with each other. So please go ahead and if you have a couple hours or so to give on Saturday, just go ahead. It's like Bill said, it's gonna be in the Montrose area. Depending on how many people show, is which location in that we're gonna have the event at. So please drop a line to director@hpjc.org and tell Bill if you're going to show up, how many people you're going to bring, so that Bill knows how much food his organization has to bring and where exactly in that small vicinity in that small area to have it. So Bill, anything else that you want to mention about the event?
Well, just want to say thanks, not about that, but thanks for continuing to have the discussions every weekday about topics that you'll never hear about on other stations. You won't hear these kinds of discussions anyway.
I know.
During the fund drive.
Yeah, it is amazing. But folks, again, Bill is the president of HPJC, the Houston Peace and Justice Center, doing a great job in making sure that we get different organizations to collaborate. Please drop him a line at director@hpjc.org. I'm going to say it slow. director@hpjc.org. You get a free brunch and you get a chance to collaborate with other nonprofits. I mean, so if you're in an activist group or one of these things that are doing things and want to sort of, you may want to do a little bit of tabling yourself, tell people who you are, what you do, come out and join the fold and be a part of a system that really works. Bill, give me a closer.
Thanks. And like I say, KPC is a valuable service too. So I hope everybody will donate during this fund drive.
Thank you very much, Bill. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Folks, don't forget, HPJC, Houston Peace and Justice Center, a hell of an organization that's doing some good work, bring in nonprofits, activist groups that work in the peace and justice field, and that's about just about every nonprofit, including those who feed people, those who do all these things. Very good work that Bill Crozier, president of HPJC, does out there in the field. Couldn't have a better person doing the work. Let's go to Brian, line number 1.
Okay, you're getting a lot of echo in your program.
I know. We have to figure out what's wrong. We got some signals. I mean, some settings that have to be changed in our system. But the show got to go on, Brian. I'm sorry. We'll figure that out in the long run. Okay, in the short term.
Yeah. Well, anyway, everybody thinks that the station runs off of power and electricity, but the real power is through the donation.
Right.
Anybody that's listening to me, you should donate. Keep the station up and running. Because, it probably takes money to fix this echo.
You're right about that too. If we had somebody that could be watching everything at all the times, we would have the echo. You're so right about that, Brian. Anyway, what's up, Brian? I know you're going to tell me something that I'm either going to like or not like. So why don't you tell me?
Somebody needs to get Lena Hidalgo a Snickers bar or something. I mean, she was just like really cranky and like one of those. She's still
Can I make a comment about that? I saw the video that I think you looked at, and I know Lena. Lena is a very smart and Lena is a very capable person. And I think a little bit of something got to her that day, and it can happen to any one of us, especially when you have a constancy of disrespect. And that's what, as a young person that is surrounded by a lot of older men, get in a lot of these positions. So I would have loved to sit down with her and say, you can handle these old parts in this sort of a way. But it just got on her. It just got on her, Brian. And she could have done a little bit better than she did in that discussion. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for everybody volunteering for the work. I'll call you next week.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you, brother. Okay, let's go ahead and continue here with the program. Tim Walz is the second topic that I had for today. And what I wanted to do is instead of the false negative, in other words, there's nothing negative of this guy saying use weapon in war. If somebody were to take everything that I say on the radio, when I talk to people on the outside, if you were to go ahead and analyze every word that I've said, I am pretty sure you will find instances like what occurred with Tim Walz, where he, instead of saying, these are the weapons I carried during war, as opposed to weapons in war, which people would take to mean he was trying to tell you he was fighting an active war. I'm pretty sure there are statements like that you'll hear from me as well. And from just about anybody else. My point is, those are not real issues, right? Now, when you listen to Donald Trump speaks, as the first caller said, when he's moving his mouth, he's actually lying most of the times. That isn't the case for the vast majority of people. Now, Tim Walz did some great things in Minnesota. And having Tim Walz in the ear of Kamala, and I'm going to tell you guys a few things. Love that Kamala is in the race. Love that Tim Walz is in the race. But when it comes to progressive issues, right? When it comes to progressive performance, Tim Walz is quite a bit, in my opinion, the person that actually effected progressive policies. You take a look at Minnesota, the healthcare that they provide to their people, his vote in the House. When you look at item per item, you can see why Minnesota is ranked at the top of the happiness scale. It is clear. When it came to casting the toughest vote, he cast it. When it comes to getting the ACA very functional in Minnesota, he ensured that it happens. Minnesota has a 13% increase over 2023, and 60% of their people are enrolled are saving over $6,460 a year. So yeah, I would say that this guy is really, really worth it for the ticket. Let's go to Nicholas.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Nicholas.
Yes, I was listening the Tim Walz talk, and I read up on the fact checking, and Tim Walz actually put it candidacy before they even got a notice for deployment in March.
Okay, I didn't quite understand you. So maybe speak a little softer, because I think with our echo and all of that, it's really screwing up. And that's not your fault, it's our fault.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, his put his stuff in November and January to leave the army. And it means that the life partners and July.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is our fault. For some reason, your voice isn't coming through. Maybe it's the only thing I understood is when you said army, but it's not your fault. It's the fault of the system. So I'm gonna have to drop the call, Nicholas, and our lines are going to be fixed by tomorrow. For the audience, I am so apologetic for the quality of our sound today. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm so sorry about the quality of the sound today. I apologize profusely for that, and we will get it fixed for the next time. We'll get it fixed for the next time. I'm just apologies. Okay. So the next subject that I wanted to talk about was the Mesa mayor. The mayor, I had a video for you, but we can't get it played. The signal doesn't go over correctly. But the Mesa governor, okay, he went ahead, and he's a Republican, conservative Republican, and he went to Kamala Harris's rally in Arizona. It wasn't in Mesa, it was in an adjacent town. And he came out to say why he is supporting Kamala Harris. It's not that he had a progressive conversion. It's not that he's no longer a conservative. He is a very conservative mayor. And the things that I believe in having a lot of conservatives to backstop a lot of us progressives. What I mean is having a pushback, having conservatives challenge us, those of us that are progressives, makes our policies better. There's no doubt. And I've given speeches at conferences. I remember sit down table. There's this group that tries to get opposing sides to talk. And once they asked me, why do I talk to everybody? I said, because I want to get better. Conservatives ask questions that a lot of times liberals, progressives forego. Okay? They play the devil's advocate. And guess what? They're right many times as well. And in being right, they ensure that the progressive policies, which not in my opinion, but functionally are the best policies, get better. So we do need to have conservatives. Now, this conservative mayor comes out and he says, look, these progressive things that Biden has done, I go out every day in my city and inaugurate these great things, policies under the Biden government, many of them bipartisan. And remember what I said? Bringing these things in can make things better. And they've effected good policies in Mesa, Arizona. So he came on to Kamala's rally to say, I am supporting Kamala. I'm supporting the government that made my people whole. I'm supporting the government that brought services to my people. Not that simply wanted to give a whole bunch of tax cuts without any services to my people, to his city. And that is how every Republican right now should be thinking. They shouldn't be thinking that I just want to make an ideological stance because I'm a Republican, I vote Republican. What you have to do is vote the interest of the country, vote your personal interest. The only interest served by these massive tax cuts right now are the interests of billionaires. And as I stated several times before, these are the people who do the least in our society. You know, you may like to hear that, Bezos is a billionaire and somehow he did something innovative that made him a billionaire. That's false. That's how they sell themselves. I love Bill Gates. I think Bill Gates is a good guy, but a genius Bill Gates ain't. And, I remember being a part of, I can tell you a quick story. HAL PC was a Houston area league of PC. I was into the PC business from it started. I used to build computers and all that kind of stuff on the side gig. Used to go, I knew what's his name? Personally, the guy who created PCs Limited, the billionaire who created PCs Limited and Dell. I knew Michael Dell personally. He went to my university. He was a bit earlier than he graduated a few years later. Well, I don't think he graduated, but he was in a little bit later. And I used to drive to Austin to go to his company called PCs Limited to buy parts, and we'll talk, Then suddenly I noticed this guy becomes a billionaire. It wasn't because of what he did. There are a lot of us building computers. He had the right context and the right procedures. And again, that's how our system works. Good for him. But let's not make the mistake and think these people produce anything. The people that produce are those people on the streets that you see working every day. The people that work for him. Those are the people that are building. I'm out of time right now. So, sorry for all the technical problems. It kind of took us a little bit off kilter, but we will have that fixed for tomorrow. And we'll make sure things are better. Again, my apologies. But I tell you what, let me see if Brother Jack has anything to say before I close this baby down. And if I don't hear Jack, right. All right. I may not be able to hear Jack right now. So what I'll do
Can you hear me
is
now?
I can hear you now.
No, I was just sitting here thinking, we were talking about war records. So let's not glamorize or glorify war or war records.
I like it. I think you're right about that, Jack. Anyway, let's get out of here. Folks, thank you all. Love you all. Callers, everybody. You are the ones that make this happen. My name is Egberto Willies. By the way, the entire show is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal